Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. The subject of our conversation today is sales and marketing alignment and best practices. We're going to share our experience with sales and marketing partnership and deliver insights on what you can do to drive more effective alignment across your sales and marketing teams to create a winning culture of collaboration. I'm Melinda Prescher, Insightly's Senior Product Marketing Manager. I'm excited to be joined today by Courtney McNamara, our Director of Sales Growth at Insightly. Courtney and I have a combined 30 years of experience in sales and marketing roles, and we've seen a lot. So let's get started by how we actually began working together. Courtney, I'll let you jump in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Melinda. So, as she's mentioned, my name is Courtney McNamara. I am the Director of Sales Growth. My team focuses specifically on the upsell cross-sell motion of the sales team. I've been at Insightly for a little over 4 years. When I first moved into leadership at Insightly, we really didn't have anyone that was in the PMM role at Insightly. So, I think the sales team needed a lot more support from the marketing team. We just really didn't know what to expect, especially from this new position. So, as we were starting to hire for the PMM role, the strategy around sales was starting to shift from a feature selling type of methodology to focusing really on business impact that we can deliver for our customers. So, as our focus really shifted, we had a thirst for content that really further aligned with the new way that we were trying to sell, specifically content that would help us rally around the concept of business outcomes and not really focus just on features and benefits. So what we really wanted was support from a strategic and programmatic perspective that would include things like internal enablement, customer facing assets that told a story in an outcome based way, and customer story development that would help elevate our ability to have really powerful social proof with our customers.
Courtney, I really think that this is a story about a process of developing a shared vision of success. And this is really the first point that is incredibly important to us. So, Courtney, you hit on this in the first key point. We actually spent a lot of time together creating a shared definition of success. The PMM role, or the product marketing role, is really part art and part science. And different organizations often have different priorities depending on the needs of the sales organization and their interactions with customers. So we looked at this in just a couple of different ways as we started our planning process. We thought about what assets were needed to help the sales team sell. And also we started to think about how will we actually measure the success of our shared effort. And I felt from the start, as I was learning what Courtney and her team needed, that I had answers for it in the content across sales enablement and customer facing assets that I was building into my plan. But it's also so important to agree on a shared attribution model for measuring performance. So, Courtney, I'd love it if you could talk us through that attribution piece, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Melinda and I sat down, we had agreed to a multi-phased webinar series specifically for existing customers for the PMM plan. And that really included outcome-based talk tracks, that included social proof from customer interviews, live demos of new features from our internal teams, and also just really making sure that we're checking the boxes for all the content needs that the upsell cross-sell team really needed to have. And it was important for me to make sure that Melinda was attributed for all of the work that she was really doing. So as a part of that, it was important for us to set up reporting in Insightly to make sure that we attribute every opportunity that came from those webinars to the marketing team. And with that, making sure that I'm going to my team with really specific instructions about the importance of the shared campaign with marketing. How do we find contacts for outreach? How do we draft content for follow up to make it easier for us to do our initial outreach? And also making sure that we mandate how we tag the contacts in Insightly with marketing attribution. So the main thing for us was really just making sure that we didn't leave anything to chance. We didn't leave any questions on the table, and to make sure that we are giving marketing credit in the process and doing it the right way and enforcing that with the sales reps themselves. So for us, once we got this hammered out, we could really, review what we were doing and make sure it was working. And that way we didn't have to start from scratch. If we needed to make changes, we could just kind of modify along the way. So either way, we started this process by thinking things through and then thinking about what assets we needed and how we were going to measure their performance and how we were going to track it. So those key things really for us allowed us to make the process really seamless. And so far, it's been working really great.
Absolutely. You know, this question actually leads really well into the next point that I wanted to make about alignment. And that is really around the importance of alignment on messaging and positioning and coming to a shared vision, not only on the plan and not only on attribution, but on the details of how we represent our offerings to the market. So that really helps, make sure that we're aligned in our conversations, and also making sure that you have what you need and can create conversations in that sales environment. So marketing really does have to own the messaging. I started my career as an editor, and I've always been driven by excellence in copy and content, in addition to understanding how my marketing materials are performing, and really understanding the quantitative impact. I've also done a significant amount of A/B and multivariate testing, which really helps set a baseline for quantifiably ascertaining what is working from a creative and design perspective and what's not. So bottom line, marketing has to be skilled at content, and that's absolutely non-negotiable for the role. But that said, marketing needs to be really open to hearing and understanding how things are going in those sales conversations. Where is sales hitting roadblocks? What details do they need for objection handling? And so I'm always staying curious on that front. What can I, as a marketer, take away from sales about what's happening out in the field? So I not only talk to Courtney and her team, but I also listen to gong calls to hear for myself exactly what customers are saying, how those conversations are going. I talk to customers myself as I go through the webinar interview process. So I can learn directly from customers and understand what's happening for them as I'm gathering social proof. So there's a lot that marketing can actually learn from sales and from customers directly. And it's really important as a marketer to realize that you may not have all the answers, but you can get a lot of what you need through collaborating and being open to the possibilities of learning something new about those sales interactions.
Melinda, to your point, I think the plan is really important, but I think for us, the messaging that comes out of the plan, specifically the outcome based messaging, was also super important for the sales team. I think that the second aspect of that is for us as sales reps and sales leaders is knowing what assets are available and knowing where to find them. I think this is the number one thing I run up against is when I have a rep that needs a story or a quote from a webinar for a deal that they're working, and we know we have something out there in the universe, but we really don't know where to find it. And that's the same for campaigns, right? Like if campaigns are getting sent out for marketing, but we aren't clear on what's going out the door, we really can't capitalize on those things to have really good conversations with customers or use it as a conversation starter. So one of the things that we focused on was creating an asset library where all of the content lives and breathes. So we really point everyone to this asset library. We call it the insight library, pun intended. And that way we can make everything kind of searchable by the content type. So, we go ahead and get our campaigns and assets there. And so it's important for me and Melinda just to kind of stay in communication on what's ahead also. So that way my team knows what to expect and we're not really reacting. And that way we can make sure that everything's in the tool, they can find it. And then we can also be a little bit more proactive in the plan on how do we utilize this content, maybe in outbound or maybe on phone calls with customers. And we really build on a lot of that work that the marketing team is doing.
I have actually started advocating for and executing on a standard bill of materials for every single campaign, so that sales doesn't have to guess about the exact asset types that they'll be receiving for any campaign. So a standard bill of materials could include a webinar, enablement slides, a one-pager, and customer-facing slides. And you make this the same every single time so that sales knows what to expect. We can always refine it if we feel that certain elements are more important than others, or if certain things just aren't necessary if sales isn't using them. But again, it's just so important to let sales know when something is coming, make that visible in Slack, and then get it into the Insight library and turn that into a consistent motion over and over again.
Yeah, one more point about the content and assets. I think even with the standard bill of materials, we can do even more with that content. So Melinda does a great job of doing a lot of repurposing of the content pieces for us. So we might need a quote for an outreach email or a quote on a slide that we can send out. So it's something that really helps us continue the conversation with customers. And repurposing the assets really gives us just more to work with, but it also empowers our reps to have new things to talk about with customers and prospects.
This has been a big learning for me. Never miss an opportunity to repackage assets to help sales. The interview script that you wrote for having that conversation with a customer, turn it into a customer story. Leverage it for the webinar. Add quotes to marketing, sales, and CSM emails. Leverage those quotes in PR. Get articles published, and then post those publications to the sales and CSM Slack channels so that your team can post them to their own social channels. Post quotes from your social proof in the Slack channels so that sales actually has really easy access to that content so that they have it just really top of mind and right at their fingertips. There are so many ways that you can take advantage of existing content or content that was created essentially for a single purpose that then you can make it work even harder for you. So moving on from content themes, I'm always looking for new ideas around iterating to improve performance and streamlining. And one of the things that I see is there are lots of recommendations out there in terms of how often sales and marketing should meet, what the cadence should look like. And one thing that I would just like to think about here is we actually work very much at the speed of light, and we actually accomplish a lot via Slack. We've found ways to work smarter and faster. And what that actually means for us is fewer meetings. I think sometimes at larger companies, you can sort of get into this rhythm of, well, we have to meet no matter what. We're a very small organization. And I think for us, but not only for us at small organizations, but also any sized organization, you really need to ask yourself, is a meeting necessary? Or can you simply inform everyone really quickly via Slack or other communication channels and work that much more efficiently?
Yeah, I think Melinda and I are definitely aligned on this one. I appreciate it when Melinda comes to us with an asset that's already done and she's just sending me, a Slack message that says, "Hey, can you review if you have time? Let me know your thoughts, give me some feedback." That's really helpful. She also sends a lot of kind of prompts via Slack as well, just kind of letting us know what's happening. That way we can kind of contribute, consistently, but also really stay informed and also really focus our time on doing what we're here to do, which is to sell. So I really appreciate her kind of leaving those long meetings for our pre-quarter strategy sessions and using Slack as our main kind of area of communication to stay up on what's going on.
Absolutely. Courtney, I'd like to wrap this up by focusing on what's probably at the root of a really successful sales and marketing collaboration. And that it's all about trust. And so I'd love to hear your thoughts about developing trust in the sales and marketing relationship.
Yeah, definitely. I think in sales, we get pulled in a lot of different directions. We've got quotas, we've got pipeline. It can be kind of daunting, but I think it's really important for us to remember that our success in sales really starts with marketing. So it's super important that we stay in lockstep with the marketing team, stay open minded to growing together and also learning from each other. Melinda actually came on during COVID. And so her and I never actually met in person, which for most teams would be kind of challenging to build a relationship. But she made it super easy. She was really open to feedback and was open to implementing that feedback that we gave her from a sales perspective. She made it really easy to collaborate. And I think for us, it wasn't really about who's right or who's wrong. It was about how do we agree on a common goal? How do we work together to accomplish that? And how do we make sure that we're solving our customers' problems together? So I think from our perspective, that openness from to learning from each other and coming from both sides and giving our opinions and being really open has really made this a super successful partnership between Melinda and I.
Yeah, Courtney, to your point, starting during COVID, I've never even worked in the Insightly office. I've always worked remotely since starting at Insightly. And so it's even more important in that case to build trust. by being open to learning from each other's experiences and each other's teams. The important things are to really understand what each other's goals are and be really focused and laser focused on helping everyone achieve their goals and find ways to make people even more effective in their roles. I think for marketing, sales can feel very much like they're out in the front lines, they're in front of customers. They really want to know that marketing is behind them and that marketing has skin in the game. I might not be in front of customers every single day like sales is, but I'm going to, take value from what insights that they're bringing back from their conversations. Both marketing and sales need to have a strong shared responsibility around customer focus and ultimately bring that focus back to the spotlight, no matter the marketing campaign or the sales conversation. And working from that customer focused lens, we can really turn that sales and marketing collaboration into something absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Melinda. Well, I will go ahead and close this out. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really enjoyed the opportunity to share our perspectives and best practices in sales and marketing alignment. If you have any questions or if you'd like to see for yourself how Insightly can help you manage sales and marketing interactions, please get in touch. You can reach us by calling us at 888-999-4039. You can also email us at info@insightly.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you.